Happy New Year, guys! I hope that everyone had an amazing New Year's and didn't get too smashed or effed up or too wild. It's every excuse to do so, so I don't blame you, to be honest. I'm currently running on like 1 hour's sleep trying to film this, but just because I didn't want to give up with filming it, and I know it's been a few days since I've filmed an episode. So yeah, I hope everyone had a great New Year's. So I was looking back over my Spotify and I saw someone had left a question asking how did coming out affect like my friends and family and how the lesbian community is around me and like where I live. And I just wanted to touch on that because I thought that was a really good question. And I personally, when I came out, I didn't really experience anyone who was like very against it. I know that obviously a few people were like when I first came out as bi, there was one thing that has been so like it I don't know, it's just like changed me. It's like a story from high school, and I was in class one day and my friend was sitting next to me, and then this other girl who we kind of beefed a little bit, not gonna lie. Like we were friends, but I don't know, we just got on each other's nerves, I'm sure. And she turns to me one day in the middle of class, and this is when I was bi. I feel like I already said that. And she turned to me and she was like, you know, I don't think you actually like girls. And I was like, what? And my best friend at the time was like, you can't really tell her what she is and isn't into. Like, I think she knows. Even the teacher, like, piped in and ended up saying something and being like, no, I definitely think Jess, like, knows what she likes. And I was just, like, identifying as bi back then. And this girl had the audacity to turn around to me and say that I wasn't actually into girls. Like, what? I don't know if she thought I was like faking it or if I was like, I don't even know, but that has like stuck with me. Like, I think it's like 6 years later or something like that. I'm just like, wow, I really just had that conversation. And now here I am, like, every time I tell people that I'm gay or like lesbian, I think back to that time. I'm like, screw you, insert name. Like, obviously, I'm not going to name drop because I'm better than that, even though I think I recorded an episode. Oh no, I deleted it. I recorded an episode about my stalker story and I full name dropped his name and like a bunch of information that I definitely shouldn't have. So I did actually delete it. But if you guys want to hear the stalker story again, let me know. I know a lot of my close friends actually know about my stalker. It's a crazy, crazy story. This guy like has been fully harassing me since I was like 12 years old. It's so messed up. Like it gets like intense, and he's currently still wanted. So if you guys want to hear that story, I feel like I definitely shouldn't. I looked the camera up and down just then. I don't know if anyone's watching this on YouTube or TikTok or anything. I know Spotify users can't see this, but I just like full like looked the camera up and down. That was so weird. But yeah, the stalker story is it's an interesting one. So if you guys want to hear that, let me know. I love to talk about it. Like only my close friends know, but I do love to tell the story just because I'm like, this is so messed up. Like I'm so against people like that. Like obviously I know like everyone is, but it gets me so angry and like I just want to do something like about it so badly. Like it angers me so deeply. I cannot express that. But anyway, I completely went off on a whole tangent. I don't know how I started talking about my stalker. I feel like we're on like a little FaceTime call right now, guys. You enjoying this? Um, so back to the initial question, how did my friends and family react when I came out? So when I started identifying as lesbian, I got a few guys. I know that's so typical and so just like of course, it's just like men my age group who were like, oh no, like you're not actually gay. And one guy, I remember I told him, I was like, yeah, I have a girlfriend. I'm actually gay now. And he was like, oh no, like that's just a phase. Like you're actually gonna get over it. Like he genuinely, like legitimately, hand on heart, like full dead seriously, dead serious, pulled the whole like, you're gonna get over it. It's a phase card. And I was like, absolutely not. What is this man on about? And this was like a year and a half ago that he said that. I've only actually recently been identifying as lesbian for the last like 2 years, I'm gonna say. Um, but yeah, he just didn't agree with it. And I know so many men who are around my age group or even older men kind of take that as like a shock. And I even know some people at work who are like, around my parents' age group who have like grown up with me and known me for like ages. Like, it's not like they have like a hard time accepting it. It's just more like they didn't see it coming. So I think that there is that like whole, not misunderstanding, but trying to understand it and trying to now see me as this different kind of person. However, I don't believe it's like seeing me in a different way. It's more just like, I don't know, they just kind of have to like update their little mind map of me. You know what I mean? I feel like everyone has this like mind map of everyone. It's like we feel like we know someone based on the information that we have, and we characterize them with the stuff that we know. And we have these little mind maps of everyone. I don't know if this is just how my brain works, but I'm sure it's how everyone's brain works. We have little mind maps of people. And it's like when we discover new information about that person, it gets updated. And it's like we're constantly updating all this stuff. Like if we have a new experience with this person, or if we find out they like this one thing or they don't like this one thing. And it's like we're constantly updating this little mind map of the people in our head. It's like a little Pokedex in our head of people. I don't know. That's I related it back to Pokemon, but I feel like it's like a little mind map. So people just had to try update their little mind map, and some people can be old computers, so they're kind of slow and they struggle to update their mind map. So it took them a while to grasp the fact that I am in fact gay. I know some people who are very close to me, like family members, who I think struggle with that a little bit. But besides that, I feel like I had a really fortunate, like I was really lucky with the amount of like feedback I got with it and like support. Like everyone is super, super supportive of my relationship, or like relationships I've had in the past with females. Like everyone has been like really supportive. And they haven't really pushed me, besides obviously the guys that I was kind of talking about that don't really respect it. But besides that, it's actually been really good. And how do I find the lesbian community in my area? Most of my friends are actually gay, which is very handy. When I first came out, I didn't really have many gay friends. I knew a few people who were like bisexual, but like I'd never hear about anyone who was like a lesbian. So like when I started hanging around more like lesbians, I was like, oh my God, like these guys are like, oh my God, it's like a rare animal. I was like, oh my God, I found my people. But since hanging out with them more, I've realized that the lesbian community is so small. I remember when I first came out and I was seeing this one person, I got told like to be careful who I start talking to, because it always hangs around and it always like everyone knows everyone and it's so connected. And I was like, it's fine, it's fine. But I truly did not understand like how connected it really is. Like, you will talk to this one person over here, and that will be that person's ex, and then they'll also be seeing your ex, and this will be that over there. It is just like so connected. And I really feel like that's not just Australia, and that's not just Queensland, because it's connected to Melbourne, it's connected to Sydney, it's connected to, I don't even know where, like overseas, America, England, like everywhere is so connected. It is insane in the lesbian community. It's like one person knows one person, you know everyone. And I truly didn't grasp that. And I guess that's my little warning to baby gays and to people who are like coming out. Be so careful, because the lesbian community is so intertwined with each other, and there is a lot of drama. It is so catty and it is very high school. So I think that is like a massive warning that I would say is just be careful with that stuff and be careful with like who you trust and what you say, because I have had a lot of dramas within the lesbian community, just not with me directly, but just hearing about things and knowing things that are going on. And like, I mean, I have been involved in some stuff, but that's more just like, it was like childish, immature stuff that's like well past now. So I think, yeah, definitely keep your wits about you and just understand that it's so connected, and especially up on the Gold Coast, Queensland, Brisbane, like it's so connected. But there are some really, really nice people. But then there's also some people that you should probably stay away from, most likely. Actually, no, on that topic, I was thinking about what I was going to talk about with that question when I was in the shower, and I was like having those, shower thoughts where you're like, oh, your brain kind of goes off on this whole tangent of like different things. And I was thinking about how when I did identify as bi, like before I came out, why I still identified as bi and why I still thought I was bi and not lesbian. So I always knew that I was into girls. Like there was no doubt about that. Like from using my parents' iPad to Google girls kissing. Sorry, Mum, I know you're listening to this. That was actually me that one time. It wasn't Dad, and I tried to blame him, and I also tried to blame Jack, but he was too young to type. I remember that so clearly. That was so traumatic. Um, but when I did identify as bi, I wasn't sure if I was lesbian because of this one main factor, and it was male validation. That was the one thing that was holding me back from identifying as a lesbian, because I was always brought up to believe that male validation was so important and you needed like a guy's approval. Like you constantly chase this approval and attraction from men to know that you are good enough and worthy and all that stuff. Obviously not actually good enough and worthy, but like what I was taught since a very young age, it's like get a boyfriend, get a husband, get this, get that. Like I didn't have any of that representation being like, well, you don't need to do that. Like I know people can be like, well, you should just know, but it's like you don't really know. Like when you're young as well, you don't understand that you don't need to get a husband, you don't need to get a boyfriend, because there is none of that representation. I know when I was growing up there wasn't really any of that in the gay community, like not gay community, but like just in general. Like I never saw any of that lesbian or gay representation. Like it was so new to me. So I didn't fully understand like what the feeling of having like a girl crush was. Like I didn't know that feeling. I was just like, I just really want to be friends with them and I just really want to kiss them. Now I know that's actually lesbianism in a nutshell. Sorry guys. But no, I was just convinced that I was bi because I seeked that male validation. And like when I'd go out and I wouldn't get like stares from men, like I'd be like, oh my god, I'm not good enough, I'm not attractive, like people aren't like looking at me, people aren't checking me out, what's wrong with me? And I mistook that, like that feeling that I was taught to have, as being attracted to them. And in my brain, like I just got that so confused, and I was so wired to believe that I needed that. I needed that to function. I needed that to know that I was beautiful. I needed to know that I was like, if I wore the right thing or did my hair the right way, by having these men looking at me and sexualizing me and like just talking about me and catcalling me, like to know that I was beautiful, when that is so messed up. That is so messed up. And I've spoken to a few people about this and they like have the same experiences. They didn't know because obviously we were raised to believe that we needed that. And that sounds so messed up, but I think like, I mean, for me personally, it's so true. Like, I don't know. I just think it's really sad that people are growing up with that. But I feel like it's good now that the younger generation to us is like having that kind of awakening. Like, LGBTQ plus is like so much more spoken about now, and it's so much more like out there. There's a lot of like actors that are now out of the closet. There's so many influencers, like so many people now identify as bi, and I think it's amazing. Like, I don't think it's just a trend. I feel like it's because people are finally feeling accepted, and it's finally allowed to be talked about. Like, there is none of that judgment that there was previously. Like, we're just so much more of an open generation, and we're so much more ourselves, and I just think it's so cool that we can now, like, I don't know, express ourselves. So I definitely don't think it's a trend like what, like the older generation, not everyone says that, but like a lot of the older generation think is a trend. But I'm like, it's just because people are feeling like we can express ourselves. You know what I mean? Oh god, I've got onto a whole nother tangent. I don't even remember the point that I started with. Oh wait, no, yeah, male validation. I don't really think I have much more to say on that, but I want to know like other people's thoughts and opinions on that, if especially like people who now identify as like queer or anything of that realm. If you actually did experience that growing up, feeling like you needed to have that male validation to feel good enough to know that you are worthy, and to not truly understand your sexuality because of it and what was forced on you. Like, we grow up believing that we have to have a husband to go find a boy. Like, oh, if a boy pulls your hair, they like you, blah, 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 blah. No one ever talks about, oh, that's okay. You can have a crush on that girl. Like, oh, you want to, I don't know, hang out with this girl more? Like, sure. I don't know. I don't know if you guys are understanding what I'm like getting at. Or if no, not, that came out so wrong. I don't feel like I'm explaining what I'm getting at the right way. I feel like I'm kind of, I know what I'm trying to say, but it's not entirely coming out right. But I think with that note, I've run around in circles enough, and I'm going to wrap up this episode. It's going to be short just because I'm so tired, and I'm honestly just about to fall asleep right now on the couch. But thank you so much for listening, guys. I hope you had a great New Year's, and I will catch you guys next time. I hope this somewhat may have helped someone, or I don't know. I would love to hear your guys' answers to a few of the questions that I've asked. But thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.